Is it on? Hello, good evening. Hope my mic is working. Let's do that. Yeah, the little bars are going up and down saying I'm making a noise, so that's all good. Welcome to Saturday Squirtin Live again. So I hope you're all doing well. I hope you've had an alright week. Say hi in chat, all that malarkey. I'm just gonna carry on with the painting that I was doing last week. I reckon that's a good old plan. So only downside with this camera, I can't see round it. So if I do that, you can see what we've been working on. I've got to admit, I had a little play since our last stream. Evening, DRN. Hope you're doing well, mate. So yeah, I had a little play since our last stream. I just got a scalpel blade and I scraped some paint off. Let's zoom in so you can see it. So there you go, look, just up there for a little bit of texture and down there a bit. I'm gonna do some more. It was a hello Wayne. So yeah, it was just an experiment just to see if it works well or not. I think it works quite cool, so I will be doing some more of that. But for now, no. I'm still gonna rough in some things because there's still a lot of work to do on this. I'm not happy with the face. The wings need more work, blah blah blah. So I'm just kind of roughing it all in at the moment. So we need to rough in this wing. So that's what I was planning to do this evening. In true Blue Peter fashion, here's something I prepared earlier. Obviously I don't want the paint to go all over the hair. I've already painted that bit. So we need a mask, and rather than using something sticky, I mean I'd use Ultra Mask a lot, which I've got some over here. Let's see if I can get it on camera. This stuff, Art Tool Ultra Mask. I use this a lot. I do like that stuff. But if I use that, it might pull some paint off of the paper. So I just got a standard A3 bit of tracing paper. I've cut out the shape I want, and in a vain attempt to stop it making fart noises, I'm gonna just stick a few little bits of blue tack around the edge. And as the inner part is going to be the darkest bit because the light source is coming from the top left, so this here is going to be pretty damn dark. That's the first bit I'm doing. So we'll just stick some blue tack on, and while I do that, evening from SD Car family. Hello buddy, hope you had a good week, mate. So what have you all been up to this week? Any exciting projects? Done anything nice? I had a root canal this week. That was fun. My mouth has only just stopped throbbing. And I've got to go back next Thursday for part 2, which is nice. It's also going to sting me 500 quid, so I'm really not looking forward to that at all. But hey ho. Who needs food, eh? Yeah, with any luck, if I stick enough of this blue tack around the edge here, it won't make too many fart noises when I'm spraying. It'll probably make some, but hopefully not too many. Wayne, if you're still here, mate, did you see that Spruverse went pocket live earlier? He started streaming live, but I don't think he realised he did. obviously you don't want a massive blob of blue tack, because then you'll have surface of the paper, blob of blue tack, and then the tracing paper, and then the paint will get underneath and you'll end up with a horrible edge. So colonoscopy, loads of fart noises. I bet, mate. I can imagine. I don't want to imagine, but I can imagine. There's an awful lot of arse jokes that spring to mind, but I will restrain myself. I'll be a good boy. I don't want to be blocked by YouTube, so I will behave. Yeah, I'm on the phone to him trying to sort it out. Cool. Cool. That must cost. Phoning him over there. Cool. Right, so blue tack round the edge like that. Get this in the right place. And then just lightly push it down. Oh, I'm not dirty, by the way. I had a bit of an ink spill at work and it went under my nail, and I now have a black nail for a couple of days. I'm not grubby, honest. Okay, that's stuck down. In my airbrush, in my trusty Iwata CMSB, I have, same as last week, so I've got 3 drops of the Trident True Black with 6 drops of their reducer, and then if you can see how full my cup is, it's not quite to the top, it's about 2/3 of the way, and the rest of it is water. And I'm spraying at about 30 psi, although the Micron tunes that down a bit. I need to find out what psi the Micron sprays at, because it's not 30 psi. There's 30 psi going into it, but it's not 30 psi coming out. So I really must find out what it is. Right, so we have a thick spine part, like this bit here, that is going up there. So we are going to have darker feathers here, but here it's going to be more like a thick forearm type thing with very tiny feathers. So I'll be shading that bit more like a tube rather than feathers, and then here in here we'll have all the feather texture. But for now, let's just get the general tones going. There you go, look, blue tack stops farts. There's a little advertising campaign they can do. So I'm just going lightly, because of course I'm going to be painting loads of feathers in there fairly soon. Evening, Kenneth. Hope you're doing good, buddy. I'm just rocking backwards and forwards doing dagger strokes. If you don't know what a dagger stroke is, it's where you start the air and then you rock the trigger backwards and forwards whilst you're moving to create, rather than a line like that, which you can't see because I haven't got the camera right. There you go. Rather than a line like that with a big blob and a blob, a dagger stroke does that. You get a lovely little like dagger tip on the ends. So that's all I'm doing right here, is just rocking backwards and forwards with dagger strokes just to create a nice tone. Let's bring the camera over a bit so you can see that a bit better. But of course, where I paint with slightly tinted water rather than paint, it takes a while to get a dark tone. but that's just the way I like to work. So just doing that top thick part, getting the shadows in there. Now the light source is coming from the top there, so this edge, this top edge here, would probably be quite bright, whereas this one would be fairly dark. So I'm not going to go as dark up the top here as I did there, but of course we need to make it look circular, so we're going to need a bit of a shadow going on, but gently does it. Again, using those dagger strokes. Anyone who does airbrushing will tell you the first skill you've got to get down is the dagger stroke. It's the most important stroke you will ever know. It will serve you well, as long as your airbrush doesn't spit every time you do it, because I had that for years. So a little bit darker towards the hair there, like that. And now we got to worry about all these feathers, and I should have really put my phone on silent. Right, so for feathers, I'm just going to wing it, pun intended. I've got a bunch of these stencils. You can probably see it on camera. Yeah, you can. I got a whole load of them. A lot of them I've cut out myself. This is just like from a bit of plastic, and I drew the shape. But anything will do. But they've all got like feather shapes on them. So we'll find one with some nice shapes. They're quite nice. Yeah. Did I retire the H&S brush? You know what, mate? I've got that right here. There she is. She's looking a bit worse for wear. She's got to be 20 years old, bless her. But I've still got her. She's got a bit of a clog issue going on at the moment, so she needs a good strip down and a clean. But I've still got her. She's still going strong. When you start to get restrictive airbrush flow, what's the first thing you do to fix it? Good question. So if I start getting spits, the first thing I check is the tip. You get tip dry. Because it's acrylic paint, it's air drying paint, it will dry on the tip. So you'll see me quite often stop and just pick the end like that, and that's just me using my girly thumbnail and carefully picking off the acrylic paint that dries up on the end there. That will often solve it. If that doesn't, then chances are you've got a dry bit of paint just inside the airbrush in here. Sometimes blasting it through, just doing that, so air down first and then pull the trigger right back a couple of times. Sometimes that will blast it through and it will come out. If that doesn't work, sometimes you can do what's called a blowback. You have to be very careful doing this, but if you put your finger over the edge, this is where I get paint all over the camera, push the trigger down and then very carefully pull the trigger back, you'll start to see bubbles appearing in your paint cup. Sometimes that will force the clog back and you'll be alright to get, I don't know, maybe 10-15 minutes out of it before it works its way back towards the edge. But if you get a clog in there, really and truly the only way to sort it out is to strip it down and give it a good clean. Sometimes you can put thinners in there and let the thinners soak in. Something like isopropyl alcohol. Got some of that in there. These hair dye bottles, by the way, are a godsend because they're solvent-proof plastic. So if you've got a partner that dyes their hair a lot, keep the bottles because they're solvent-proof. So I've got some isopropyl alcohol in there, or I've got some 2K thinners in this one. So sometimes the alcohol will dissolve a blockage for you after 10 minutes or so. If not, the thinners can. Just be careful with the thinners and spraying it through an airbrush because that's atomizing it and you don't want to breathe that in and stuff. Give yourself dodgy lungs for when you're older. Nobody wants that. So I've got the same brush, H&S. Yeah, do you know what? I bought that airbrush years and years ago. As I mentioned, she's got to be 20 years old, surely. I don't know what number they're on, but this is number 6437. So she's a bit old. I've worn off all the nickel coating. I've got an old earring as a custom skull trigger, which I wish I didn't do because it really hurts my finger sometimes. Yeah, and the only thing I've replaced in this girl is the needle, really, because I had a real good habit of dinging the needles. So she's on about her 5th needle, but other than that, everything is how I got it. The poor man's micron, as they call it. But yeah, brilliant brush. Highly recommend them. Especially because they're a fraction of the price of these ones. What's the difference between thinners and flow improvers? They seem to do the same thing. Nah, don't apologise for the questions, mate. It's all good. So, flow improver. Now, I could be wrong here because I don't personally use them. But I believe they work just like a reducer. So, if you imagine acrylic paint being... Yeah, let's switch cameras so you're not just staring at that. Hello! So if you imagine acrylic paint being like marbles in a bowl of water, the water being the carrier and the marbles being the actual pigment. If you just keep adding more and more water, the marbles will just get further and further apart, and then the paint will lose all of its integrity. So if you were doing something like a car or a bike or something like that, chances are you would end up with problems, the paint coming off or cracking or all sorts. It doesn't really matter on paper because paper absorbs it, and you're alright there. But if you're doing something like a bike or a car, something with a hard surface that's going to be exposed to sunlight, extreme temperatures, it can cause a lot of issues. So you need to keep those molecules or the marbles connected somehow. And that's what the reducers or the flow improvers do. So they will basically water it down, but still keep that integrity. So you're not going to have issues. I mean, I drastically over reduce. As I say, the paint in this thing is way over reduced. So if I was painting using this mixture on, I don't know, I mean, I'd get away with it on a guitar, no problem. But if it was something like a bike fuel tank, for example, I could have like some crazy paving going on or something. So it's always best to use the proper reduction, unless you're doing a canvas or paper or something, you know, that will absorb it and keep hold of it, and it's not going to be exposed to weather or sunlight or anything like that. Go back there. Hey, 1956 Willys 4x4. Welcome, mate. So I've bent the 1.5 tip loads of times. They are so fragile, aren't they? That is my only criticism with the H&S Infinity, is the needles are like butter. They're so easy to bend. I mean, normal airbrush needles are easy to bend anyway, but those infinity ones, you just fart near them and they're bent. Chris the Snail Driver. Evening, mate. Been following your channel since your Rob Chapman collab years ago. Hey, yeah, that was some time ago. Great to see you back and really enjoy watching your work. Cheers from the New Forest. Ah, you're not far away, mate. I'm just the other side of Winchester. So I'm just getting the suggestion of some feathers in here. Like I mentioned last stream, try not to use the same shape over and over again because it doesn't look natural. Use different shapes. There isn't much repetition in nature. It's all different. So we'll explain, Professor Wheeler. I think I got it right. It's been a few years since I've had to go to my chemistry. Normally I just chuck some paint in there, bung a load of water in it and squirt it and hope it comes out alright. I am the king of winging it. So what I'm doing here is am I still on the camera? Yeah, I'm just pulsing like that, the air on, and just rock the trigger backwards and forwards on the edge of the stencil, just to give me a suggestion of a wing, and then I can go in freehand and tighten it up and stuff. Right, so we've used that one, we've used that one. Those ones are too pointy. Those ones are too curvy, although that's quite a nice one. Yeah, it's quite nice. We'll use that one. Just like that. Those are too big. Mm. 15 quid each. Yeah, they're not as bad as these. Last time I brought a needle for this, it was 30 quid. That was a couple of years ago though, so they could be different now. I don't know. And don't worry if you get like that. Let's zoom in so you can see that. Hold the camera still so you don't get motion sickness. So you see where I've just sprayed that, it's gone over that one a bit, and you can see the stencil carry on through that feather that's next to it. Don't worry about that, because as I go in with the freehand and tighten all that up, it will make that disappear. As long as it's not too bold and in your face, it won't show up in the final thing. You can get away with it. Also, sometimes using these freehand stencils, let's make sure I'm still on camera. If you hold it down to the surface tight, you're going to get a really hard edge. If you hold it up ever so slightly, like a fraction of a millimetre, obviously the force of the airbrush is going to try and push it down a bit, but if you just hold it off the edge, the surface, sorry, ever so slightly, and spray, when you're not using really watered down paint like I am. Let's try it again. you see you get a much softer edge. So if you hold it tight to the surface, you get a really crisp, hard edge. But if you want something softer, just hold the stencil up off of the page ever so slightly, and it gives you a nice, smooth edge. A bit like back masking. There's a term I haven't used it since my body shop days. That's car body shop, not the actual place that smells the smelly soaps and stuff. I've never worked there. Christ, last time I was in a body shop, the smelly type, I got stung by a wasp. Never liked them ever since. Right in the neck as well. Is that one too pointy? Yeah, I don't like that one. Let's not use that one. Next. I'm going to run out of stencils in a minute. Obviously, they're going to start off small feathers here, and they're going to get larger and larger as we get down, like it has on the other side. See that they all start teeny tiny up here, and then they just get bigger and bigger as you go down. So keep that in mind. A feasting. Yeah, you got it. I see what you did there. I was called Steve again today. I get that so often. It's like people think I can't spell my own name, although my name is actually Alan. But they're like, "Oh yeah, all right, Steve." I'm not Steve. It's not a case of I can't spell my own name. That's a bit too big for this bit. The difference is in Bondo paste. Is it for the face or the bonnet? Yeah, no more big gaps. Yeah. God, I remember one body shop I worked in, we had a beach buggy to do. It came in and it was like a forest green, and we were going to sand it all down, make the bodywork nice and smooth, because it was full of like dents. I don't know what the hell they were from, rocks or something, I don't know, but it was covered in dents. So we were going to sort out the surface with Bondo, make it lovely and smooth, spray it black, and then old Beej from Organic Image was going to cover it in True Fire, and I spent 3 days doing all the Bondo and sanding on that, and every night when I came home I was green. I don't miss those days. The airbrushing was fun, but the prep work was a nightmare. Right, so now I'm out of stencils, so let's go back to the two other ones. So those ones are too pointy, let's put that over there. Those ones are too thin for where we're going, because we need to get bigger. Those ones are cool. How are we doing for viewers? 11 viewers. Good evening, 11 viewers. Welcome to my channel. Hey, the first fart of the evening, there we go. Always keep in mind about the flow as well. So her wing is that shape, so all the feathers are going to go that way. So like if I did that one, which curves that way, that would look really unnatural. So keep them all flowing the right way. Really unnatural. It's a woman with wings coming out of her back. There's not a lot that's natural about that. So there you go, see again, just there. I've just gone over the edge of that one a bit, but it doesn't matter because when we come in and do the freehand sorting out bit, that's the technical term, that will vanish. It will disappear under layers of paint. Let's try and figure out the bottom bit here. My stencils are not shields. I don't know, I've always called them stencils. But yeah, they're freehand shields, I suppose. They're bits of plastic I've cut out in a funny shape. Not going to work. Let's map out these bigger bottom ones so I know where I'm going and what I'm doing. So they're going to need to come up to about there. And that one is curving that way. So prepping is so time consuming, but it's got to be perfect finished result. I totally agree. I totally agree. Doing the guitars is a bloody nightmare, because you've got to sand it down. As some of you airbrush guitars know, you've got to sand the existing finish down. If you're doing it properly, you need to sand the existing finish off and then back to bare wood, and then seal the wood again, and then grain fill it if need be, and then prime it. Then you can base coat it and do your artwork, but then once you've done that, you've got to clear coat it and then flatten out all the orange peel that might be in it, and then possibly clear it again, and then flatten out all the orange peel that's in that, and then buff and polish. I mean, when I did guitars, the whole clear coating process took a week, and sometimes the airbrushing took a couple of days, if that. So it's like, it used to wind me up something rotten, but the end results are well worth the effort. It just grinded my gears a bit. It's like, I just want to draw pretty pictures, I don't want to keep doing this sanding malarkey. So I'm just lightly dusting in where the bigger feathers are at the bottom. Quality takes time, it does indeed. Quick ain't pretty, and pretty ain't quick, as they say. Yeah, I'm seeing a guitar. It takes ages. It does, mate. Yeah, I feel your pain. It's well worth it in the end. Hang in there. You can do it. You would think I would have a lot more views, wouldn't you? That's kind of why I did it. I was like, oh, that's a good market employ. And I wasn't sure what YouTube was going to do for a thumbnail, but if it used like this image for a thumbnail as well, it's like I'm going to be banned from YouTube straight away. They're going to think I'm streaming porn or something. But I've always referred to airbrushing as squirting. Or pigment pushing, but I wasn't sure if I get away with that either. Now let's go that way. So ideally, I need a curve that's going like that, but that's too much of a curve. We need something a bit more subtle. Got to be more subtle in it. Oh, that's not bad. That's not bad at all. I think we got a winner. So position that nicely right on the edge of the point of that tracing paper, and sweet. So now I know where my longer ones are going to be. I know that I've got to bring these smaller ones gradually bigger and bigger down to about there. Wrong shape. I don't like it. Helps if you hum a stupid tune. Really need to clean my stents, my freehand shields as well. They're really quite covered in paint, which of course if they get too dirty it's going to come off on your painting, so I really should give them a scrub. Trouble is I've got so many, it's going to be like a 2-day bloody job there. Nah, let's use that one again. Here comes Marshall. You alright, buddy? What's up, mate? You want to go out? Are you painting from a picture or just out of your head? So the lass is a model friend of mine. So that came from one of my photographs. But the wings, yeah, I'm making it up as I go along, mate. The feathers remind me of the fish scale custom paint. Yeah, it's exactly the same sort of thing. Dragon scales, fish scales. It's the same sort of thing. Everybody does it differently. This is just the way I do it. Once I've done the rough outline, I'll then go in and put a spine on each of them, and darken down the crevices where they meet and stuff like that. But the actual roughing them out like this, it is exactly that. It's the old scale technique. Cool. So that's rough that down. So now we know roughly the flow of the feathers and stuff. Now we can start really getting in those shadows and stuff. So obviously it's going to be almost black up here. Not quite. You don't want to go full black. You want some hint of something in there. Ah, there you go. See, look, I've got a blockage. My paint has virtually stopped coming out. So first thing I do indeed have dry paint on the needle. So get my girly thumbnail in there and just gently pick that off. See if that's cured it. And it has. There you go. So these are all going to be fairly dark because of the direction of the light source. All these feathers are in shadow. I want them to be a bit brighter than her hair because her hair is black. So if you tone them down to the same sort of tone as her hair, then it's going to look like the wings are black as well. And then I'm get a bit closer and we'll start getting busy with the freehand stuff. Done, Mia. Marshall, you finished, mate? No. He's such an obedient dog. Not. Hey, there he is. Good boy. Hopefully that's not too bad on camera, that noise. I hope. SD card man sign, I've got to clean my brush and then large JD. Take care, buddy. Enjoy your JD. Take it easy. Thanks for tuning in. Right, so if I zoom right in here, so you can see what I'm up to. That's the wrong way. Zoom. Come on, camera, behave. There we go. So I'm putting a little spine down each of these feathers. Just like that. Now my dogs are going nuts, so that might mean my daughter's just come home. If it is, then apologies in advance for Marshall going absolutely insane. Let's see if she's home, and then I can mute the mic. Let that do its thing. This is where working with really watered down paint comes in handy, because you get a lot of really nice control for a long time before you get the old tip dry. I always used to find if I used paint that wasn't very reduced, I would be stopping so often to sort out the tip dry. It was quite annoying. But if you've got it really watered down, of course, it doesn't as much. You still get it. You'll always get it because it's air drying paint, but not as bad. So it's all still quite rough at the moment, but basically just putting a spine on each of these feathers, painting little sugar puffs basically, and then once we've done that we can go in and refine more. Can you believe I've run out of paint? Yes, some I haven't done as well. Right, so good grief, is it 10 to 9 already? I must be having fun. So, Trident Black. Got a blockage in my bottle as well. 1, 2, 3. Stick the lid back on that before I spill it. And then we've got their reducer. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. See, even just that is pretty heavily reduced. Without spilling it everywhere, that's all the paint that's in there, and now I'm going to fill it up with water, so I do reduce a hell of a lot. And what's really handy about the water is that it's, if I don't knock the camera, it's just the right size to stick your thumb over the end and then give it a good shake to mix that up. But don't forget to put your thumb over the end before you start shaking it around. Mia, go lay down. Go on. Cool, we're back in action. It's a good little trick to note actually. I don't know if you saw there, but it removed some of the paint. What had happened is some of the reducer had separated in the paint cup. So my last squirt there was just reducer and it removed some of the paint. Sometimes you can use that, not on hard surfaces, it never works, but on stuff like paper, it actually works quite well for being able to erase stuff. I haven't tried it with Createx reducer though. I've only tried it with Trident. I'm not sure what they use for their reducer, but it smells like what's the stuff you get in swimming pools? Chlorine. Their reducer smells like chlorine for some reason. I don't think it is chlorine, but that's what it smells like. So this is where we get rid of one of the bits where I've gone off camera, sorry. It works for Createx, does it? Okay, cool. So this is a bit where the stencil went over. This is where we lose it. Like I say, it all looks a bit rough at the moment, but as you go along and you refine it bit by bit, it all comes together. Windex glass cleaner, yeah. Chlorine is an aerosol. Do not hope / think that is the case. Yeah, I'm 99.99% sure that there's no chlorine in it. I don't think they can do it, but that's what it smells like to me. Don't have to use Trident as well. I know it's quite hard to get hold of over here in the UK. Any old paint will do. It's just what I had kicking around. Might have to start making these streams like 2 hours, because you don't get a lot done at all in an hour, do you? Or I don't, anyway. I'm still on camera. No, I've gone off again. I keep on doing that. Here we go. Cool. Right. So pick off the blue tack because we don't want to have little circles where we have that on there. I can watch you airbrushing for hours, it's therapy. A lot of people say that. Yeah, it's certainly my form of meditation. It's I love just doodling for hours with no real end goal in mind. I just like to muck about and hope that the end result is good, you know. So there we go, the hair is got that highlight there, but of course the wing would be casting a shadow over this part here. Not so much her shoulder, but definitely her hair, so we're going to have to darken that down a bit. Bear in mind the wing is going to be further back from her hair, so it wouldn't be like right there, it would probably be about there-ish. Just like that, instant shadow from the wing. It'll be really dark in here. Cool. There we go. So, pop that down there. Pop that over there. Right. So, can we disconnect this to give you a view of the whole thing? Or am I going to drop it on the floor? Because I'm good at that. Come on, camera. Off you come. Give you all motion sickness now. No, it's connected. I can't do it. I tried. I was going to give you a further away look at the whole thing, but nah, it's not going to work. But there we go. We got that bit of the wing done. So that bit obviously is going to be really bright because the light source is coming from there and that's facing it. So that's going to be really light, that part. So we'll play with that next time. I'm going to do some more of this scratching with just with a scalpel blade, nothing major, just to scrape some of that paint off. I might have a play with just squirting the old reducer as well, see what kind of textures we can get going with that. But for now I reckon that'll do it. I'm going to have to say goodnight and go put the kettle on because my good lady wife will be home from work any second. So thanks for tuning in, you guys. Thanks for the tips. No problem at all, my friend. Anytime. That's what I'm here for. If I can help anybody with their airbrushing, then I've done a good job. So that's the whole reason why I started the YouTube channel in the first place. So you guys all take care. Have a good week. That's my missus home. Or my daughter. One of the two. The dogs have gone nuts.